Good morning, gentlemen, and you ladies out there. My name is Purdeep my name is Purdeep Sangha. You are with the Complete with Purdeep Show. Sometimes I stumble on that. It's still early in the morning. I'm still waiting for my kids to wake up right now, so the house is a little bit quiet. And that moment that they get up, you might start hearing something in the background. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you have an awesome Thursday. We're ready to rock and roll here. I'm so excited to have our guest on today, and we're gonna bring her out very shortly here. But you know what? This is an interesting day today. It's Thursday. One more day until Friday. And I know everybody looks forward to Friday because everybody looks forward to having the weekend off and spending time with family, having the time to do what you want, enjoy your freedom. And I think this is ultimately what the show is about. It's for you gentlemen out there who are business oriented, but also are family oriented. Because why are you working so hard anyways? Is you want to be able to have the time, money, and freedom to be that husband, to be that father, and to have that freedom to spend with your family. So if you're finding yourself working a little bit too hard, working evenings and weekends, and not being able to spend that time with your family, I hope you reconsider your approach to life, because that's ultimately what we are here for. That's why this show exists. Complete with Purdeep is all about showing you how to be the complete man. And if you haven't had a choice or an option yet to get the Complete Man book, if you haven't heard of it, it's right here. It just launched December of last year. I was super excited because this is the culmination of decades of research experience working with men, the science behind how men operate, and how you can have the complete life. So you can, right now, we have an awesome offer. Just released the digital audiobook, and so you can go to completemanaudio.com and use the promo code LIMITEDFREE and get an absolutely free copy right now. So this is a limited time offer. Go to completemanaudio.com, use the promo code LIMITEDFREE, and you can get your free copy of the digital audiobook of The Complete Man. So with The Complete Man, first, I want to thank you for watching this show, because this show is very important to me. It's very near and dear to my heart, because right now I think a lot of guys out there need a positive message. And that's why I'm so excited to bring on our guest here soon, because positivity is something I believe is very rare right now. We are stuck in such a negative state, and we've been stuck like that for a few years now, with all the divide, the separation that's happened, not just amongst the political divide, but we're talking about ethnic, racial, societal divide as well. And I think that needs to be mended, and there's a lot to be done there, a lot of work. And today's episode, the theme of today's episode, is all around creativity. So that is one of the 13 C's of being the complete man. So why is creativity so important? It's important because creativity allows you to do things differently, to solve problems differently, to come up with solutions that others may not have thought about. So what's happening right now, whether we take a look at it from a political perspective or even from business, one of the main things that we do, so if you don't know my background, I'm widely known as a strategist for businessmen. I work with executives, entrepreneurs, CEOs, business owners to help them grow their business, but also help them have a more fulfilling life. But one of the aspects that we really bring in, and I specifically personally teach men, is how to be creative. My background is also in innovation leadership. And so creativity allows you to overcome your challenges that much faster and come up with solutions, again, that no one else is thinking about. And right now we need this. We need this in society. We need this in the political environment. I'm not a political animal whatsoever. I don't like politics. We need politics, but I don't like it. But we are defaulting to our natural, you can say, thoughts, our natural ways of solving problems. And that's not going to work going forward. We need to come up with creative solutions, not only from, again, personal side, but from the business perspective. With everything that's happening with COVID, if you're expecting things to go back to normal, you are going to be challenged in business. You need to come up with new creative solutions to adapt with the new environment that's coming. And once you're able to think more creatively, once you have a more creative team, people on your team, you're going to be that much more successful, that much faster. So on the note of creativity and on the note of joy, I want to bring in an awesome guest here. She is great. You know, I just had a brief conversation with her backstage, and just the 10 minutes that we had a chance to connect with each other, just you can see the positive energy from her, and she's got an interesting background as well. So Raellen Hale, thank you for joining us. She is the prophetic joy revolutionist. Thank you so much for being on our show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really super excited. I love your show. It's amazing. It's so insightful. I'm one of those women that also follow you. So I tell you, I am over the moon.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you because you're just your energy. And I talked to you backstage. I said, you know what? Just share your energy with the crowd here because we need it. There's so many people down and out, and your smile and just your positive energy is important. But let's get into who you are and what you do.
Okay.
Maybe you could share a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I am an empowerer, and I do work as a Christian minister. So I have a Christian background, but I also have, I don't know, I've been a little bit of a spiritual buffet. So I've been out in the community empowering people for a very long time through personal life coaching and prophecy. So as a prophetic joy revolutionist, what I teach is it's a universal message. So it doesn't matter what your faith, your background, your belief is. You know, what I teach is that we can spark the light of joy and actually manifest and sustain an incredibly successful, incredibly happy life. So I believe our words spell out our present and our future circumstances, and that if we tap into joy within ourselves, then that will be the catalyst that actually connects us to the inner vision that we have for, complete happiness and a great life.
And that's awesome because if we think about it, and the guys that I work with, and I've worked with many, many guys, one of the topics that doesn't come up very often is joy. Is that word isn't used very often these days, especially for high performing men, right? It's all about achievement. It's all about having things. And so in your world, your definition of joy, how do you see joy? What do you see with people who experience joy?
Well, first of all, to me, joy is not just a feeling. It's a tangible life force that we can be intimate with and connect with. And for me, the way I most foundationally define joy is the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is like an anointing, but also it's an aspect of God. So the Holy Spirit is, for me, almost a feminine aspect, where it's a yielding, nurturing, loving, wisdom impacting, empowering life force that we tap into that is higher than ourselves. And so when we tap into that joy, we tap into the ability to create it prophetically, meaning that we speak, and through the joy spark, that life force, we know that we can actually harness the power to be creators and not just subjected to circumstances, not just subjected to whatever life brings us. We can actually control that by tapping into a higher divine spark within ourselves. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. So what we do is when we work with men, we talk about being a mindful alpha male. And I'm not going to talk about the mindful aspect, but I'm going to talk about the alpha aspect, because the alpha aspect is important because it's the first letter of the Greek alphabet, which is the beginning. Yes. And so it's being the creator. If you're not the alpha of your life, if you're not taking the lead and creating it, you're following someone else's direction. Right. And most of the times you don't like those circumstances. Most guys don't like to be followers because they have to live with the circumstances that are given to them rather than creating their own circumstances. So I'm right on board with you. I think that's super important. I want to talk about something that you mentioned before. You talked about the feminine and the divine, for example, and a lot of spiritual teachings. Yes, the feminine is more connected to the divine because the feminine is directly connected to life. Right. The feminine gives life. Yes. I think for guys that's important too. And you and I had a short conversation backstage about relationships. Yeah. And one of the things that I just want to say personally, from my personal experience, again, and professional experience, is that as men, we get so caught up in our work and trying to achieve and being goal focused that we look to our wives, our our partners for that energy, for that life energy, because as men, sometimes our life becomes dull, and that our woman, the woman in our lives, brings that creativity, brings that feminine energy, brings that life force into us.
Yes. And so what you have are like two rocks kind of slamming into each other, right? Because you have the woman who is looking for the man to be the rock, to be that strength, to hold her down, to help her have direction, instead of tapping into that creative force within herself. Right. And then you have that man that wants that soft, welcoming, oh, everything is just, oh, just so beautiful and just so calming and stuff. And he doesn't know how to tap into that force that he has, to be yielding, to be joyful, to almost be childlike and exuberant within himself. And so we drain each other because we keep pulling on each other to give us what we already possess. And so when we learn to tap into joy, that prophetic joy, where you're actually in alignment with spirit and you're flowing, as one with everything, then you stop seeking outwardly and you finally have something to give. I mean, how can you, if you don't love yourself unconditionally, how can you expect someone, else to love you unconditionally, or for you to even have the ability to love someone else? And that is truly what partnership is being able to stand in the presence of someone and watch them unfold and accept whatever they become.
That is powerful, because I think that's important. And I've been there myself, because there's been times where I've been lacking from within, and I've been looking for that from the external world.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book, The Complete Man, is once you're complete from within, then you are complete from your external world will be complete as well. But that's so important from a relationship standpoint, because I know a lot of guys struggle with their business or their career because they go home to a failing relationship. They go home to a relationship that isn't desirable for them, that's not passionate anymore, that doesn't have that pull and attraction. And you and I jokingly talked about it backstage, about the topic of sex and why that's important. And this is, we're going to keep it PG, but I think it's important to talk about, because there we go. Where's our backstage man, Nelly? Come on up.
Oh yeah, I am here.
He got excited when he heard that word there.
Yeah, watch out.
Yeah, watch out.
Raellen, from your perspective, because you have an interesting background as well. Because you believe in marriage.
Yes, and I've been single and celibate and saved for 7 years. And so I absolutely believe in purity before marriage. But when I get married, I'm going to be dropping it like it's hot, you know what I'm saying?
Lucky guy, right?
Oh, yes, I'm going to bring the spark of joy to that bedroom.
So, but let me get this straight. 7 years.
Yes.
That is a long time. And
intentionally. Yeah, I have chosen. And, I have went through relationships where they didn't enjoy that part of it. But it's just, I feel that until I can be with a man that can give me that commitment and a spirit of excellence and leadership to truly be invested and responsible for our relationship, then I'm not going to submit and give him my inner essence, the inner sanctuary of myself. Also, I just don't think they could handle it, to be honest.
So I'm gonna throw you off. I'm gonna throw you a question there. So what if you get married and then you find out that the guy is no good? What do you do in that situation?
Well, I have been in that situation. But honestly, you can't really say that a person is no good, because it doesn't matter. They could be the pillar of the community and they could have brought you flowers every single day. But people change, people grow. And a lot of times when we say someone is no good, they're going through, growth. Growth is messy. So we make mistakes. But does that mean we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater? Not necessarily. True marriage is about commitment. And I really, truly feel that if I find someone that matches my desire for commitment and loyalty, then, they're never going to be not good enough, or they're never going to be a bad guy, because, of course, I'm going to take my time to make sure that I discern them on a deeper soulful level, and not just a physicality, not just a carnal, like sexual connection, not just what they can bring or what they can do for me. I want to know that we connect soulfully, so that the soul realm governs our relationship and not just the physical, because physical changes, life changes. Circumstances sometimes can bring out the best and the worst of us. But if you have that soul connection and that deep friendship, then you can navigate through that. And then also a desire, both of you have an equal desire for commitment on the same level. And I think that's key. And then keeping it spicy.
Keeping it spicy. We're going to get into that in a little bit here, but I think that's very important. That's very important what you talked about, because I'm a firm believer in that too, because the physical world, it's a manifestation of your non-physical world.
Absolutely.
And so having that spiritual connection, a lot of guys don't like to talk about it, but there's a lot of guys that think about it. So guys don't openly have those conversations, but when we get guys into the room and we talk about this kind of stuff, and I've had many guys say to me that they feel that the person they are with is not meant for them from a soul perspective, or they are not meant for each other. That's a tough situation to be in, but now they have kids, right? And they've been married for a decade. Yes. And now they're questioning, okay, what do we do? And to be a good husband, and to be a good father, and to be a good part of the community as a man, he continues to move forward with the relationship and do the best he can, which is not a bad thing. I'm not criticizing that by any means, because I don't think guys should just get up and walk out of a relationship. Right. But it's building that connection. If that connection is not there right now, what can someone do to build that connection, to strengthen that soulful connection that you're talking about?
Well, honestly, I believe prophetic joy would be a gift to them, because when you shift the focus and that responsibility that you actually have subconsciously given your partner, that they must make you happy. When you say, okay, they might not make me happy, where is my happy place? Where can I find joy without them? When you start seeking joy without them and cultivating it within yourself, two things will happen. Either they will begin to mirror you and start aligning with that higher joyful place that you're at, or they'll fall off. So usually when you are focused in joy and happiness and peace, magnetically, you will begin attracting that. And if you two are in alignment and are divinely connected, they too will begin to elevate. Now, it may be slower, it may take them longer, but it's possible. Or they may walk out of your life. And I have actually had that experience where being married and my husband was cheating on me. He was having an affair. And I just began praying and focusing within. I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I knew what was going on, but I just focused on finding my peace and my joy. He actually just walked out my life. Now he's regretted the rest of his life, but that was on him. Wow,
that's and 7 years later, you're in this position and talking about this, and I think that's important for guys out there. And I'm going to again talk about from my experience. We have a lot of expectations that we put on each other in relationships, and I'm not going to say that some of those expectations aren't warranted, right? Because when you get married, there's certain things that you commit to. You get into a marriage to say, I'm committing to giving you this. And relationships are about giving. Ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about giving more than you receive.
Yes.
It's like Christmas. You feel a lot better by giving a present rather than actually receiving a present.
Right.
But what ends up happening is, I just had this conversation with a gentleman the other day where we talked about that, And he said, you know what? And he has the expectation of his wife being this crazy woman in bed. He has this expectation of being responsible from a financial standpoint, helping him with his business. So
Right.
somewhat of a business partner, a mother to his children, all of these different expectations now that we've put on each other. That, again, I think what what we worked together with was basically saying, identify what are the most important elements that you
Mhm.
need from the woman in your life,
Right.
right? And maybe that's you need her to be there for your kids, right, as a
Mhm.
strong mother. Maybe
Right.
you need her to be there to help cook, for example, or whatever that is. Or maybe it's take the lead on something,
Right.
or maybe it's about being, crazy in bed, whatever that is. But
Mhm.
having expectations that she's going to be superwoman
Right.
is going to drain the relationship, as you said.
Right, right, absolutely. You have to find joy. I think that there's also a hindrance that, really doesn't get talked about a lot. And I think it's that understanding the fundamental, kind of like the makeup of a man and a woman. A man really wants to please.
Mm.
A woman needs to learn how to receive. And it's okay for a man to want to please and still be an alpha. In fact, I
Yes.
think the best alphas do. The greatest leaders know how to serve.
Hmm.
And so you can serve your woman joy. And then when you do and teach her how to receive it, it just could be so beautiful and passion filled that little differences and stuff start to fall off the grid. They don't become as exacerbated. I
Hmm.
think that when you have that passion and that exchange of peace and love and desire for each other when you're married, then that can actually fuel a desire to want to overcome those adversities. I mean, think
Hmm.
about it. When you first met that woman and you were excited and all that, and there were little things she'd say, you'd be like, okay, I don't care you text me too much. You know, I don't care you calling, like, oh, my baby calling me again. It's like, but because she is on fire, she's sexy. I love that about her. And then we lose it. We lose that passion in the marriage because then we just get focused on almost back in our childhood. And it's like men not even realizing it become receptive. So it's like instead of giving and receiving the greatest pleasure in their life from giving and pleasing and standing in that power, because there's great power for a man in giving his wife happiness, then they kind of actually lose their position,
Hmm.
because there is great authority and there is great men actually can navigate that relationship and lead that relationship and that energy flow if they focus on giving and pleasing and teaching her how to accept it. And I think that also just creating a conversation of, this is how I do it. Some people may, I don't know, you heard the five love languages. Some people give love or receive love by giving, by service, by communicating. And it's just learning how to communicate, how to talk, how to touch her in the way that she says, oh, okay, you're loving me. Oh, now I understand, and then being able to continue with that. You find that sweet spot and you just keep going after it.
Hmm. And
So,
there's so
sorry.
many things in what you just said there, because the first thing that I picked up on was desire. And
Yeah.
desire, and even some people talk about, well, you know what, that desire fades after a while. It doesn't if you keep that desire going. It's just like a flame. You got to keep fueling it.
Yeah.
You have to actively keep fueling it. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean very few couples that I know of have a natural desire that's going to last forever
Right.
without them actually fueling it. You have
Yeah.
to be able to put, fuel on the fire to keep that fire going. And it can happen. You
Yes.
just, again, it has to be proactive. The second is, some of the guys out there, and on the surface they might be thinking, but the inside they know what a dysfunctional relationship is doing to
Mm-hmm.
them,
Mm-hmm.
or how it's taking away from their drive. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm speaking from experience that 8 out of 10 guys are struggling in their relationship. If you're struggling in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have as much energy. You don't have as much drive and
Right.
motivation
Yeah.
to build your career, to
Mm-hmm.
build your business, grow your business, hit the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and again, this is a very consistent feedback that I've gotten, is what's the point if I'm going to go back home and I'm just going to feel that way
Right.
without having that desire? The other thing too is guys want to be desired as well.
Yeah.
Guys want their woman to want them. And I
Yes.
talk about this in the book. Guys want their woman to initiate things like
Yeah.
sex. They want their woman to initiate affection.
Yeah.
Guys aren't allergic to affection.
Mm-hmm.
Guys want affection just as much as women do, maybe just in different ways,
Yeah.
but it's there as well.
Yeah.
It's important because that.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been in a relationship with a man who, had said I wasn't his physical type, but he found me just ooh la la,
Mm,
because I think that, being like a prophetic joy revolutionist, it's innate within me. I bounce, I'm bubbly, I'm excited. I have a passionate purpose that I'm always working on. There's something that I'm always creating. There's something that I'm always, like trying to tap into and manifest. And then I'm contagious with my joy, whether it's at work or with friends, but it's like innate within me because I'm always feeding that inner fire, that joy within me. So in a relationship, okay, and you're on an intimate basis with, your other half, what men really find exciting is a woman's independent passion, that she's passionate about life, that she's passionate about doing something with a purpose, and being able to stand back and watch the marvelous creation that she is, but also her response to him. And so she doesn't have to be the most beautiful woman in the world, but when he looks at her, she's like, oh my gosh, she took my breath away. And if it's real, and she really feels that way, that response just lights a fire in him. And that's all, and then that's where that exchange is. That's where that intimacy, that oneness starts to be created. And that is the foundation, and that's why we're supposed to save sex for marriage, because you're supposed to have that added, well, at least in my opinion, okay, but you're supposed to have that added fire, that added, that force, that is that desire that unites you, that sets you above just, the typical relationships you may have experienced in your life. And that's what why I'm savoring that moment, why I'm savoring, having that with someone, is because I don't want to keep, sparking these fires and creating, this heavy, intense connection, and then seeing everything get burnt down over and over again,
Mm-hmm. That's a
So
lot of energy, a
it
lot of
is,
wasted. Yeah,
yeah.
where you could be
Yeah,
doing
and
that
I think
also.
in marriages, people do that. They'll connect with someone, and then they just, instead of continuing letting it burn and finding creative in different ways to make it burn, they turn away, or they walk away, and they give up too soon. But you
Hmm.
alpha men, don't you like a challenge? So
Yeah, definitely. I think there's there we go. We got Elio. Elio likes a challenge there. There you go. Uh, it's there's one important aspect there. Guys want to feel appreciated. Guys want their woman to look at them and be like, "That's my man."
yes.
If a man feels that way in his relationship,
Mhm.
he will do everything he can. Like you say, he will give.
Yeah.
Again, the guys that I work with, a lot of them don't feel like they're appreciated, and they're feeling kind of tired of that because
Right.
they do work late evenings and they do work weekends so they can provide their families the lifestyle that they had. And I find this funny. And in
Mhm.
all honesty, I
Mhm.
find this funny because I experienced it at a certain point. And I know other guys do, where their wives will say, you know what, they want a certain lifestyle.
Right. Yes.
But then when the guy's out there giving it everything he has and doing what he needs to, working as hard as he can to give that lifestyle, then it comes that complaint, you're not spending enough time at home. You're not spending enough time with the family or whatever that looks like. So sometimes guys can get a mixed message, right? It's that, okay, what do I do? You want this lifestyle. I want to give you a better lifestyle, but you want me home as well. And you're complaining that I'm not around. Like it's a tough spot. And I say this, I say that jokingly, but in all honesty, there's a lot of guys out there facing that, and it causes a lot of confusion in relationships.
Yeah, I think, and I'll just be blunt, women can be lazy. You know, they can. And, you know, while they're sitting at home thinking, well, he doesn't spend enough time with me. He doesn't come out and, you know, he doesn't take me out. He doesn't do the things that he used to do. He doesn't do for me. Well, why aren't you, you know, surprising him at his job in a raincoat with nothing else on? You know, why aren't you giving him little sex texts? You know, why aren't you doing something? It's not all about what he can do for you. And I think that, you know, women do get lazy because you men, you know, you spoil us. You know, you make us feel so loved and happy, and you pursue us and you give and you taught us how to receive, right? And then we just kind of get complacent and say, well, what's next? You know, I'm ready. The commercial is over. Get back to the show. But, you know, we have to get in there and we have to be willing to do some things and think outside the box and, you know, be creative.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad it came from you and, you know, not me, because I think that's important. I do see that a lot in relationships. I do see, again, guys aren't all, there's not a lot of bad guys out there. There are some, but what I'm saying is guys in relationships, they work hard. They want to give their families everything they can. They want to make their wives happy. And in all honesty, that's what they want to do. They have a yearning desire to do that because they feel like that's their purpose.
Right.
And they align their purpose with two things. One is their career, but their other thing is a caregiver and a provider for their family. Like that is their purpose. That's part of their identity that they've created. And so when they don't feel appreciated, when they don't feel respected, but I just love what you just said in terms of surprising the husband. I'm telling you, this, you know, if you're the ladies out there listening, if you do stuff like that for your guys, it will take him to the moon and back. It is phenomenal what something like that would do. Just a small gesture of that appreciation. Yeah. And some people, I've heard some people say, well, all you want is sex. Like, no, you know what? It's not just sex, because even in that act of sex, there's a form of intimacy that men get. And I don't think women understand, a lot of women understand that guys don't just have sex to get off. Right. They do it to connect with you. Right. That's their way of connecting to you and your energy. Yes. And if they don't get that, they get frustrated, they get irritated, they lose drive, they lose motivation, and then they start questioning themselves. Guys will question themselves just as much as women do. What's wrong with me that she doesn't want me as bad as I want her? Right. And I think it's so important, you know, for a woman to feel secure with her man, to feel protected, to feel like sometimes we want to feel like that, you know, that little girl, like daddy's going to take care of me, you know, and it can be hard to not just kind of get lazy and just kind of say, okay, he's going to take care of me. He's the alpha male. He's the provider. He's going to be the leader and he's going to do it all. And then just kind of like, well, you know, just sit there and be like, what's next, without doing something to light that fire. I think a man wants to feel kind of lusted, you know, after, in a sense, you know, in the relationship, in the marriage, he wants to feel like he is just the cat's meow and he is just, you know, she passionately wants him, because men are more passionate, you know, they're more action, they can be a little bit more aggressive. And so that speaks to them subconsciously. And then for a woman to just feel cared for and provided for, not just financially, but mentally,
emotionally feeling like, okay, he knows I'm stressed out. He knows, it's time for my chocolates and my hot water bottle, and he's going to be there, and he's going to see me in my vulnerability with my hair looking a mess and say, girl, you're so beautiful. That makes me feel secure. That makes me feel protected. That makes me feel loved in ways that even goes further than the financial, provision. But definitely having the mindset of, okay, building security, making sure that we're going to be, set, provided for, taken care of, like I do kind of at Bright Views, even, with the insurance, being able to have that peace of mind and financial legacy for ourselves. That's important, that men can offer that. But it's also important that they can offer a spiritual and emotional feeling of security by just loving and accepting us in our most vulnerable moments.
That is powerful. That in itself, I think a lot of guys that are watching this are going to get a ton out of that, because it's not just about the money.
Right.
It's everything else. It's the, like you said, the spiritual safety, the emotional safety. Yeah. And I think that requires men to open up. It's not just about being there. It's about listening. And I know that's tough for guys too. It's just to listen and not try to fix things and not try to go into action mode right away. And especially, I've been guilty of it in the past. Try to fix your woman. Right. Try to do that. It's not going to work, guys. It's a futile attempt. You can be there to support her. You can give her ideas and suggestions and support, but you can't change her. You can't fix her. That's not going to work. And women don't like to feel like they need to be fixed. I made the problem. I'm going to openly say this is I once said to my wife, and I still hear it. I'm joking about it, but I said, you know what? You're just a project. I'm like, and she just flipped her lid. And she keeps, anytime, something goes down, and women love to do this, is they'll bring something back from years and years ago. And I still hear that every once in a while, but that was something, and that was a heat of the moment, I guess. For me, it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to say it, but I wanted to say something that bugged her at that time. And she never forgot that. But it's important to realize, because in a relationship, you're there to accept a person, good and bad. I don't necessarily say bad, but maybe things that you kind of annoy you, that get on your nerves. Sometimes you just got to let that go.
Yeah. Well, it's okay that a woman can be, a project, but she can be your project of happiness, right? She can be like a project that you work on to unlock, peace and find like a Pandora's box. I almost envision, yes, there may be some calamity inside there, but there's always hope, And so we have to learn how to look at our relationships and that person kind of as a puzzle that we never want to solve. We just want to exist with and create with. And so, like a project, yes, that's actually a beautiful compliment, because it's something that you are going to build and that you're going to create and that you are going to be involved hands-on with. The worst thing a man or a woman could do is just not to be involved at all. But if you consider that person a project, that means that you're invested in building something with them. You're invested in creating something with them, and you're going to get your hands dirty. Your focus is going to be intent. And so, okay, I'm your project. How you doing?
That's a different way of. I'm gonna get my wife to watch the show after this.
Oh yeah. Mine
there
too.
We go.
Let's get to work, baby. Get to work.
Elliot was hiding behind the scenes. I'd love to see the look on his face right now. Oh, that's hilarious. We're gonna bring you up stage here pretty soon, Elio. So get ready to lay one down on the drums there.
Oh yeah.
And I think this is what you talked about before as well, commitment.
Yes.
Commitment is important because when you feel like you're in a committed relationship, then it gives you that strength and that safety to say, okay, how do we evolve from here? And how do
Right.
we grow? And I think that concept that you talked about your relationship being a project is important because a
Yeah.
relationship needs to grow just like everything else. Like you go through different life stages. You
Hmm.
have kids, they take up your energy. You
Hmm.
change as a person. It's
Yes.
important to have that commitment. And I don't see very much of that these days where couples grow together. And
Right.
I say this to my wife. I'm like, I want us to grow. I want us to evolve. Not just
Yeah.
financially or whatever that looks like. For me,
Hmm.
that's kind of in the back window now. It's
Hmm.
about spiritual
Yeah.
connection, spiritual
Hmm.
growth. I want us to experience different things in life and just connect at a different level.
Right. Right. And it's not easy when you have a vision as a partner, and you want to see that partner take part of that vision, but their vision can be a little bit different about the way they want to express and communicate in that relationship, or the way they want the relationship to evolve to. So you want evolution in your marriage, but you have to learn how to relax and allow it to evolve. You can't micromanage evolution.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
you have to say, okay, I want things to evolve. I want us to grow spiritually. I want us to become more um, like adept in the power of our higher consciousness. And I want us to both be able to meditate and connect, spiritually in heaven, and all these kind of things. And that can be all romantic, and that can be really good. But, evolution can take place in our arguments.
hmm
Evolution can take place in our day to day, even in the mundane aspects of our life. Even if it's just taking some time to work together in the garden, even if it's just taking some time to walk on the beach, we are evolving
hmm
every day. And so when we open our minds and have a higher perspective of our expectations, and then we ourselves evolve. So how can we expect the unity of our marriage, which to me, marriage is like an entity within itself that we must feed and nurture and cultivate and protect and love, separate even from ourselves. So if we expect our marriage to evolve and to reach higher levels, okay, then how first are we evolving? How first are we changing within ourselves? And one of those is accepting that other person wherever they are. So the highest pinnacle of evolution is understanding.
hmm
Get understanding and seek wisdom. And then you can delight. Then you can delight with joy. And when you delight with joy, long life and abundance manifests in your relationship, in your businesses, in your personal life. That is the foundation. That is the key. And you actually can find that in Proverbs.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. So I want to thank you for being a guest on our show. This has been an amazing conversation. I know the guys and gals out there are going to take a lot away from this. If someone wants to know more about the prophetic joy or you, where do they go?
Well, you can always catch me Monday through Friday at Bright Views here in Gainesville, Florida, where I do assist you with being able to not only manifest in your life and create abundance, but then know what to do with it so that you can sustain a legacy for your future. But also, you can go to YouTube. On my YouTube channel, I have the Power Revolution, where I impact lives and I empower the world globally. And so you can check me out there, leave a comment, a message, or follow me on Facebook or Instagram at The Power Revolution.
Thank you so much, Raellen, for joining us today. This has been
Thank
phenomenal.
you.
I got a ton out of it. Thank you so much. Not only has this been educational, but also very entertaining. So thank you for bringing the joy
Yeah.
to our show today. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Purdeep. It was an honor. I appreciate it. And I love your book. Absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
So there you go, guys and gals. We just had an amazing guest, Raellen, on the show here today. Just a ton of value from relationship perspectives to life perspectives, the importance of understanding men and women. She talked about things like desire, stepping up, evolving as an individual, as a couple, because that in itself is an entity on its own. So many nuggets for you out there listening that hopefully not only improve your relationship, but also improve your life and your business. Because remember, and I'm saying this from experience, is that when you're having a tough time in your relationship, you're going to have a tough time in other aspects of your life as well. So when you have that joy, when you have that desire, that fulfillment in your relationship, you're that much more motivated, you're that much more driven to move forward in your business and in your career. So once again, if you have not gotten your copy of the Complete Man book, you can do that by going to CompleteManAudio.com. If you use a promo code limited free, it is free right now. So you can just jump on that and get a free copy without having to do anything except for go to that website. I know Elio was backstage there. He was giggling a little bit. He was giving us a little bit of a drum show. Elio, are you still there, man?
Oh, yeah, I am here.
So what did you think? She's pretty awesome, huh?
She's awesome, but let me tell you, talking about the Complete Man book, this is what I do all day. I play with my hand, and I play with my right hand, and I read with my left. Let me tell you. That's what I do.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So maybe you can close up the show with a quick beat. Leave everybody with a positive note so they can go and rock their day.
Oh yeah. Complete with Purdeep. Go and get your book right now.
Thanks, man. So there you go. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Join us every Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you. Please like and share this with your network, and I will see you next week. Have an awesome day.